dozens of high school students in Missouri staged a protest last week demanding a white teacher be fired for their use of the N-word. The teacher used the word several times, saying he was only repeating what the student said. The student told him not to use the word several times. Another student captured the exchange on video. Take a look at this.
Nigga, bro. You said nigga with the E-word.
In a question mark.
No, nigga, you don't say that shit, nigga. You don't say that shit. You don't say that shit, nigga.
You're calling me that.
You don't say that shit.
You are calling me.
You don't say that, nigga.
7 days.
You don't say that shit.
There you go.
You don't say it.
You called me that.
Bro, keep playing.
You called me that. Who's playing with who?
Bro, you keep playing.
Who's playing who?
When I drop your ass. When I drop your ass. You laughing right now, bro. On God, bro, you laughing right now.
What are you doing?
Nigga, you laughing right now, nigga.
What is your point?
Bro, don't call me a nigga.
What? I did not. I questioned you.
Nigga, don't ask me. Don't put that in your sentences, nigga.
I repeated you.
Don't put the fucking N-word in your fucking sentences.
You put it in your sentence. And
Nigga, cause I can, nigga. I fucking can. You fucking can't.
That's illogical.
Explain.
So you explain it.
Explain. Explain your fucking bullshit, nigga.
There it is again.
I can fucking say it. As I said, I can say it. I can say it.
And so I questioned you.
So don't put it in your sentence. Don't question me that word.
That is ridiculous.
The teacher is on administrative leave while the school investigates the matter. This is the same school district where a student created a Start Slavery Again petition. Yep, Reverend Carr, sorry to end with so much joy and then turn back around and ask you to comment or opine on this. Before I come to you though, Reverend Carr, I do want to say this, and I try not to make it a habit of opining. The reason we have panelists is because you guys are really highly qualified to offer your opinions. But one of the things that's remarkably striking to me, and Dr. DeBanga, you talked about this glossary of definitions. Americans need to begin to define the word freedom, because the lack of a clear definition onto what the word freedom is has so many Americans asserting an opportunity to do something merely because they can. And they are told time and again that they have the freedom to do things, but our functional existence in society demands our participation, that we have to give of ourselves sometimes and others will give of themselves. Functionally, it's collectivism. That's a little bit about Kwanzaa. Reverend Carr already said that. We ain't gonna do that right now. But ultimately, Americans seem not to understand what freedom means or have misperceived or misidentified perceptions of what freedom is, particularly because in their real lives, and this is going to get into capital and labor, there's so many ways that we as Americans are unfree. So when a white person finally has the time to offer the dreaded N-word, now they want to flex their freedom. No, it's not standing up against your boss on the Amazon plant who's going to ask you to come back to work one day when a tornado may kill you, but it's when I get to say the N-word. Now they want to exercise this so-called freedom when we want to do something that might jeopardize the health and safety and welfare of others. No, it's not standing up to join and signing a union card to ensure that you guys get more collective benefits so you get more than a 15-minute smoke break. This is where you want to exercise your freedom. My apologies indeed for opining, but Reverend Carr, when you see something like such, what is your takeaway? Because our young brother there, we saw him fighting for the language to communicate his anguish, and perhaps he may not have had it as delicately or articulately as we would have wanted it in that moment, but the authenticity of that expression should have, had nothing else, told our instructor at that point, this ain't what you want.
Oh, yeah, because, at that point, the young man is there for every piece of the smoke and every bit of the smoke. And when it gets to that point, I mean, we've all been there. And I say this to you, Ray, and on the Congo, listen, man, we're this dialogue tonight is important, it's powerful. We're all sending energy into this dialogue. So we're opening, the floor is open, the energy is flowing, and it's absolutely awesome. I'm reminded of the 1974 Gordon Parks film 3 the Hard Way. So I don't know who Fred Williamson and who Jim Brown and Jim Kelly are in terms of us three, but I can say that we're dropping some things that people need to hear. That young man, that encounter was disturbing on a number of levels. On National Public Radio, I did years ago probably 100 commentaries, and one of them is called the N-word Redux. And I was exploring how we have this conversation around the N-word. We hear it, People say it all the time. I've got kids. My youngest kids are in high school and middle school. When I pick them up from school, whether it's on the back steps or near the football field or near the basketball gym, you hear our kids going in with that. And it's just every other word, depending on the day, depending on the stress, depending on the level of comedy that they're discussing. It's become a part of the language. They see nothing wrong with it, but it's also a stark moment when other people then begin to use it, because then you're in a conundrum. And when the logic comes back and they say you're using it, we see the young man is actually using the word over and over again to tell the white man he can't use it, but then the white man's logic is you're using it right now. It's a difficult situation because we have to deal with things on two fronts. When I'm teaching young people in our Performing Arts Academy or we're doing rites of passage, we talk about this N-word thing. It's interesting because we use N-word so much to replace the actual word that younger kids say, what is the N-word? What are you saying when you say the N-word? So we have to almost use the word to say that this is why we're not using it. So that's how many contradictions there are with this piece. When I look at this situation, when I look at this interaction here, it took me back to an experience I had in high school. And I always say, when you look at me now, I tell everybody, you're seeing a work in progress, but I am surely not where I used to be. I'm not the kid in high school who was playing around, making straight Fs. I'm not the kid who was section leader in the choir, drum major of the band, all of those wonderful things when I did get myself together. But there were important moments at that crossroads. One of them was when I got expelled from high school. I got kicked out of high school 2 weeks before graduation. And if you haven't figured it out, I'm kind of the experiential, off the beaten path member of the family. So when I got kicked out of school, I had a white principal who everyone loved and everyone thought was the greatest benefactor of children in the world. And I remember at the disciplinary hearing, I had an opportunity to get into school. And she came to my parents and she said, your brother, your sister, your daughter, your son, they have just been awesome. They have been an asset to this school. So if they ask me my recommendation, which the board rarely does, I'm going to recommend that Jeffrey be allowed to get back into school, finish his final exams, and be able to graduate with his class just because he did turn his life around and he's done some good things. 15 minutes later, we went into that hearing at that Board of Education. They turned to that principal and asked what her recommendation was. And she said, I recommend that you put him out of school, and if there's any way we can prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law, that's what I recommend. It was as if someone poured scalding hot water on my face. It was a rude awakening, as my father would say. But in that moment, it was the moment that I decided that I was not going to waste my life, that I was going to devote my life to not only uplifting my community, but also making a mark in the world, to not just report on the news, but to create the news and to stand proud and strong. That's what I saw coming out of this exchange with this young man. I think there needed to be a reality moment. And with young people, there needs to be that reality moment where you recognize this is real. How do I work out my contradictions? How do I now stop being flippant about the use of the language that I have? How do I stop being flippant about allowing things to happen to me as opposed to being the cause of what my destiny should be? This is a moment, it's a teaching moment for all of us, regardless. We haven't seen anything new. We know teachers have been doing this both in the teacher's lounge and in front of us for about 400 years. But hopefully for this young man and for other people who will feel this anger, it gives them that crossroads moment where they make the decision to move forward with their life and take control of their destiny too.
Back to that roadblock unfiltered video in just one moment.
time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on there.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig?